you're about to meet one of the most uplifting individuals you will ever see. So much so that I'm going to tell the story of 45-year-old Bridget Wilder in two parts. Bridget was a mother of 10 biological children when she faced the unthinkable. But her journey of triumph over tragedy will leave you inspired. We visit Bridget Wilder on a typical day as the mother of 10 interacts with her children.
How do y'all feel about eating healthier foods?
You'll soon find out there's nothing typical about this 45-year-old mom. Let's rewind. For years, Bridget Wilder was a stay-at-home mom while her husband, Wilson Anthony Wilder, worked to support the family.
He was the one who was the breadwinner, and I stayed at home and raised the children. Just more of a traditional family, but very young for that time frame to be doing that. It was kind of like weird in that space in the 90s to be living like that.
One child, Beatrice, was diagnosed with leukodystrophy. A neurological disease meant Beatrice could not hug her mom. Still, they were close and they communicated.
She couldn't hug me, and it bothered me that I couldn't get the embrace from her like I would my other children. And I believe one time she noticed that. She breathed on me when I was laying next to her, and I could feel a hug through her breath. And that was a form of connection that we had.
But one day, Beatrice never woke up. She was only 6 years old.
She passed away in her sleep. And I was always hoping that she would get better, but that day never came. I miss that. I miss taking care of her. I miss just the moments that we had alone where I can just talk to her and encourage her. We were very close, even though she could never verbally say, "Mom." I miss that. Oftentimes, Ms. Meekins, I still don't deal with her grief because it can be really hard for me to discuss it, but I deal with it by helping other people without me having it. Only time I really talk about it is if it's to encourage someone. But if I'm at my alone times, I kind of keep myself busy and distracted because it's a painful place.
After losing a child, faith helped. Wilder is a longtime member of Unity Gospel House of Prayer.
Looking at it from a spiritual perspective, I look at her walking in a different place than here. And that's what I saw when I looked at her wheelchair. She was no longer bound to that. So I had to take myself out of the selfish space of just wanting her to be here with me and realizing that she didn't have to continue to go through the pain that she was suffering through. So that helped ease my grief, just knowing that she didn't have to suffer anymore.
But Wilder says Beatrice left an imprint on the entire family.
I will tell you that she changed my life. She helped me look at how it is for parents to have children that are disabled. Me and my children both have a sensitivity for people with conditions that may be in a place where they are often overlooked.
3 years later, Bridget suffered another devastating blow. She was only 35 when her husband died of a heart attack at the age of 37.
He was such a key component that it felt like the weight that was carrying us dropped us, for lack of a better word. So I had to learn how to restructure my life and begin again. When you lose a child, it's like nothing else. And to lose my husband after that, I almost felt like I was having an out-of-body experience.
Suddenly, Bridget was a young widow faced with raising 9 children alone.
And dealing with the grief of my husband 3 years later, it was shocking, even though he was sick. Because here I was, a mother of 10, having lost one and having to raise 9 children alone from the ages of 16 to 4 months. I never had an experience of being a single mom, and I never wanted to be. I never signed up for that. But it was placed in my lap, and I was forced to grow. It was as if my life was blown out of a canyon from 0 to 100 so fast that I didn't even have time to process it.
But after these tragedies, Bridget Wilder was able to make astonishing transformations.
No low place is meant for us to stay. It's for a moment for us to grow into who we were predestined to be.
How Bridget found her voice, her purpose, and what she's doing to help others. I'll have that next as Positively Milwaukee continues. Welcome back. We continue to follow Bridget Wilder's remarkable journey from tragedy to triumph and what she did to turn her life around and make a better one for herself and her 9 remaining children. Bridget Wilder was catapulted into a new life after losing a child and her husband 3 years apart. Wilder was a young widow at 35, forced to raise 9 kids ages 4 months to 16 years old alone.
I didn't know how I was going to navigate taking care of my children, but I went back to a former passion that I had, which is nutrition.
Wilder says her church, Unity Gospel House of Prayer, helped to ease her despair.
Ms. Meekins, the biggest part of my growth is collaborating with God and believing in myself.
Wilder quickly had to transform from a stay-at-home mother to her children's primary breadwinner. She got a job as a receptionist.
Storms build you, and I learned stuff about myself through this process.
Through her resilience, Wilder went back to school, getting a Bachelor of Science in Nutrition from Mount Mary University.
I took on the challenge of saying, you know what, I'm going to try. And little did I know, it introduced me to myself. It introduced me to understanding how intelligent I was.
It took 7 years to finish her courses. She had to extend her time after yet another devastating blow.
I had to show up at class every day. I had to strategize on how am I going to make sure the kids are fed, go to school, go to work, which I did. I worked, went to school, but then another tragedy hit and my mother died. But I never lost sight of how bad do I want it.
But something else was eating at Wilder. She was morbidly obese, weighing over 300 pounds at the time.
For me, at one time when I was over 300 pounds, it was too big for me to visualize I can do that. I asked myself, how bad do you want it?
Bridget wanted it pretty bad. She lost 150 pounds through good nutrition.
You eat how you feel about yourself. When I didn't feel good, I ate garbage. I ate fast food. I didn't treat myself with the value that I deserved. But now, I'm like, I want to be here a few more years. It's time for me to put a lot of nutrients and vegetables and fruit in my body. I used to have diabetes, and I no longer have it. I was diagnosed at a time where I was able to reverse it.
Today, she helps others find wellness and healthy eating. She stresses the mental component. Through her metamorphosis, Wilder discovered she had to confront a trauma she had buried for years.
I was raped at the age of 15. So tragedy was really a part of my story. The only difference with the rape, I suppressed that and I just went on with life.
So in a way, your grief helped you grow up.
Yes, it helped me deal with old stuff that I never knew how to tackle.
Wilder even started her own business, Perseverance Health and Wellness Nutrition Consultation Services. It specializes in weight loss.
I teach my clients how to declutter their cabinets for weight loss success. And oftentimes they think I mean get rid of all the salt, the sweets. No, I'm saying who is in your space that is not supportive? Who is the sabotager? Remove any barrier that's going to keep you from completing a goal.
Wilder is also a motivational speaker who continues a personal quest to do better.
My fight really is in me continuing to seek ways to self-improve. Because if I improve myself, I'm better at helping other people. So that's the reason why I fight so hard to make sure that I'm well in my mind, in my body, and my spirit, because I'm better at helping others when I'm at my best place.
Wilder even wrote a book called Why Me? A Question I Refuse to Ask God. On top of all of this, her 9 children are thriving.
Because I have learned so much from you and all that stuff, and what you have taught like us about healthy eating and all that stuff, like about, they'll talk to me about they losing weight or they're trying to lose weight or something, and I'll say like, well, you probably shouldn't be doing this. Right.
My confidence now bled into my children. I have my oldest is an accountant. I have a couple of children that are, my daughter, one is a model, one is a business owner, one goes to Howard University. No one's in trouble.
So a woman who had every excuse to give up persevered.
I wrote a vision board in 2013. On my vision board, I said I was going to start a business. I was going to uplift and inspire women. I was going to be a class speaker, and I was going to write a book. All of that happened. Silence the voices of those who say you cannot, and say you can.
Bridget Wilder has found her voice, her place, and most of all, her purpose in life. She helps others remember that mind, body, and spirit are crucial roles in the journey toward wellness.
When I tell you it's a story of tragedy to triumph, it is that. And I'm happy to talk to you because it's given me the opportunity to tell people that although we go through storms in life, there can be victory after the most traumatic events in our life. Even though a situation may seem hopeless, take it back. Take it back into your own hands and become whoever you desire to be, and don't take no for an answer.
Incredible, wasn't she? Now, I want to thank Bridget for sharing this amazing, awesome journey with us, because I think people out there will definitely look at their lives and figure out how they can change it as well. Thank you, Bridget.